When Daniel Craig was announced as the sixth James Bond back in 2005, the backlash was loud and merciless. Too blonde, too gritty, not Bond enough. Fast forward nearly 2 decades, and Craig's tenure is now widely considered one of the boldest and most emotionally complex eras in 007 history. His 5-film run didn't just modernize Bond, it deconstructed him, broke him down, and rebuilt the character for a new generation. That said, not every Craig-era Bond movie hit the same highs. Some dazzled with spectacle and depth, others stumbled under the weight of their own ambition. Here's a definitive ranking of Daniel Craig's James Bond films, from weakest to strongest, Spectre all the way up to the towering achievement that is Skyfall. 5. Spectre 2015. Spectre isn't a bad movie, it's just the most frustrating one in Craig's run. On paper, it had everything going for it. Sam Mendes returning after Skyfall, a stellar cast including Christoph Waltz and Léa Seydoux, jaw-dropping locations, and the long-awaited return of the iconic Spectre organization. The opening day of the Dead sequence in Mexico City is among the best pre-title sequences in Bond history, stylish, ambitious, and visually stunning. So where did it go wrong? The biggest issue lies in the script's attempt to retroactively connect all of Craig's previous films under one shadowy mastermind. The reveal that Blofeld was somehow behind everything, from Le Chiffre to Silva, felt forced and unnecessary. Making Blofeld Bond's brother figure was a creative choice that drained menace from one of cinema's greatest villains and replaced it with soap opera melodrama. Christoph Waltz, an actor capable of terrifying subtlety, was underused and oddly restrained. Léa Seydoux's Madeleine Swann, while important to Bond's emotional arc, never quite earned the sweeping romance the film demanded. And at nearly 2.5 hours, Spectre often felt bloated, mistaking scale for substance. It's stylish, yes, but style alone couldn't save it from feeling hollow. 4. Quantum of Solace 2008. Often labeled the problem child of the Craig era, Quantum of Solace deserves a bit more credit than it usually gets. Coming directly off Casino Royale, this film is essentially a revenge-driven epilogue rather than a standalone adventure. Bond is raw, angry, and emotionally shattered, still grappling with Vesper Lynd's betrayal and death. That psychological continuity is admirable, but it also makes the film feel incomplete. The 2007-2008 writers' strike heavily impacted the script, and it shows. The plot is thin, the villain Dominic Green lacks presence, and the frenetic editing, especially during action scenes, often makes it hard to tell what's happening. The shaky cam chaos may have been fashionable at the time, but it hasn't aged well. Still, Craig's performance is relentless and intense, and the film's darker tone reinforces the idea that this Bond is fueled as much by grief as by duty. Quantum of Solace isn't satisfying in the traditional Bond sense, but it's a crucial emotional bridge in Craig's overarching story. 3. No Time to Die 2021. Daniel Craig's final outing as 007 is the most divisive Bond film ever made, and arguably the most daring. No Time to Die swings for the fences, refusing to play it safe. It leans heavily into Bond's emotional vulnerability, exploring themes of love, legacy, and sacrifice in ways the franchise had never fully committed to before. Craig gives his most human performance yet, portraying a man worn down by loss but still capable of profound love. The action sequences are thrilling, the stairwell shootout in Cuba and the fog-shrouded finale are standouts, and the return of fan-favorite characters adds warmth and continuity. Ana de Armas steals every scene she's in, while Rami Malek's soften, though chilling in concept, never quite feels fully realized. The ending is bold, shocking, and guaranteed to split audiences. Some see it as a poetic conclusion to Craig's deeply personal Bond saga, others feel it breaks an unspoken rule of the franchise. Either way, No Time to Die refuses to be forgettable, and that alone makes it significant. 2. Casino Royale 2006. This is the film that changed everything. Casino Royale didn't just reboot Bond, it reinvented him. Gone were the gadgets and winking one-liners. In their place was a bruised, ruthless agent earning his OO status through sweat, blood, and hard lessons. Craig's debut performance is electric, introducing a Bond who is impulsive, dangerous, and painfully human. The film's structure is unusually intimate for a Bond movie, with much of the tension unfolding at a poker table rather than in explosive set pieces. Mads Mikkelsen's Le Chiffre is a chillingly grounded villain, and Eva Green's Vesper Lynd remains one of the most compelling Bond girls ever written, smart, guarded, and emotionally devastating. The romance between Bond and Vesper isn't just believable, it's essential. It redefines Bond's emotional DNA and casts a long shadow over every Craig film that follows. By the time Bond delivers the iconic, "The name's Bond, James Bond" line at the end, it feels earned in a way it never had before. 1. Skyfall 2012. At the top of the list, undisputed and unmatched, stands Skyfall. This is the rare Bond film that manages to honor the franchise's past while boldly pushing it forward. Sam Mendes crafts a visually stunning, emotionally resonant thriller that interrogates Bond's relevance in a changing world. The question at the heart of the film, is Bond still necessary, is one the series had never dared to ask so directly. Javier Bardem's Raul Silva is mesmerizing, equal parts flamboyant and terrifying, serving as a dark mirror to Bond himself. The film deepens the relationship between Bond and M, culminating in one of the most powerful and heartbreaking moments in the entire franchise. Roger Deakins' cinematography elevates Skyfall to near art house levels, with iconic imagery that lingers long after the credits roll. From the neon-lit skyscrapers of Shanghai to the haunting final act in Scotland, every frame feels purposeful. Skyfall isn't just the best Daniel Craig Bond movie, it's one of the greatest James Bond films ever made. Final thoughts. Daniel Craig's Bond era was never about escapism alone. It was about consequence, identity, and the cost of being 007. While not every installment reached the same heights, the overall arc delivered something rare, a complete, emotionally coherent story for James Bond. From the missteps of Spectre to the triumph of Skyfall, Craig's tenure proved that even a 60-year-old franchise can evolve, and still shake the world.